Hello, everybody, and welcome to Middle Age Geeks, episode 48. I'm one of your hosts, Daz, and this is my co-host, Phil, a man who, if you say his name 3 times, will appear on cue and defecate himself. How are you doing, Philly?
That is a horrible rumor. I'm doing pretty good,
Only
man.
happened one time.
I'm doing fine. Yeah, pretty good. It's been a good week. Man United won, so I'm in a happier mood than what it was last week. Things are going good. What about yourself?
Pretty good. I was talking to you about fixing my TV that had an LED internal light thing, and I managed to take it apart over 3 hours, put it back together brilliantly. And when I was closing the final clips, when I made sure that everything was fine, these little plastic fucking cheap Samsung parts, one broke, and then one broke and snapped back and hit the screen and cracked it on both sides.
No.
I was like, are you fucking shitting me? It was such an intensive repair job. I spent 4 hours looking at YouTube and then 3 hours actually doing it, removing layers of diffusion in the screen and internal. I know so much about TVs now, but not how to put one back together. I was kind of cracked at both sides. I was like, oh, maybe I can do it a little bit of bleed or whatever, and turned it on. And it looks like the intro of Netflix, those fucking that spirally lines just all over the TV, and it's absolutely fucking for the bin. So yeah, that's apart from that, I'm fucking great. Well, I get to buy a new TV, which is great.
So when we get to what you've watched, it's not going to be very long.
Yeah, I watched a lot of very squiggly lines and YouTube clips about fucking TVs. Fuck's sake, cheap parts. But anyway, so let's get into it. This week, we're going to touch on some news and what we've played, which won't be much on my part. Then we'll dive into our movie review. But first and foremost, news-wise, is there anything that tickled your fancy this week?
Yeah, a few things. Yeah, I suppose the first is some bad news, and that was the passing of James Earl Jones. The voice of, very well, famous for a bunch of stuff, but obviously the voice of Darth Vader. And I think both of us were looking at that tweet the Empire State Building put out with a big, huge thing of Vader on the side of it. It was really sad. Like, I mean, he's one of the actors that actually gave his permission, years ago to Lucasfilm or to Disney, I suppose, to use his likeness, to use his voice, like AI, if they wanted to. So that the character could stay on. So let's start off on a bummer note. Then the other thing I wanted to talk about was the Venom 3 trailer. Did you look at it? Or?
I couldn't bring myself to watch it. I was just like, 2 trailers is too many. Is it? Do they tell the whole thing? Because trailer 1 was like 2.5 minutes. Trailer 2 was 3 minutes. Is this like 7
we're getting way more
minutes?
info. If you just put them all together, you don't really need to go and see the movie. I think there's loads more in it, and again, it's heavy on the jokes, inverted commas, and like we do get to see who I assume has to be Null. We get which I think would be an incredible bad guy if they could introduce him. They're looking for a new big bad guy, and obviously Galactus is going to be great, but bringing in a whole new big bad, I'd love to see them bring in Null. So you kind of get some shots of the home planet, Clintar, and stuff. And look, that looks pretty cool. I don't know what they're going to do with that. Are they going to keep Null on after this, or what the crack is? Like, I mean, maybe will Spider-Man have to fight against them, the Tom Holland one? I'm not sure what they're going to do with it. But the trailer looks pretty pants. And then there's a couple of more things, right? One was, if you remember a while ago, I was talking about Black Myth Wukong, and I was saying I hadn't picked it up yet because I was just waiting for some of the bugs to be ironed out, because it was people were saying it's particularly buggy. And it was something, again, that we had mentioned about reviewers and how sometimes you're not sure if they've actually watched the thing that you're reviewing or played it, and how hard it can be to trust these people. And so at least you know that we actually do, because you can see the pain in our faces when we discuss some of these shit movies. But there was a review, and I think it was on Kotaku, I can't remember, but your one was saying that they'd done the whole review, and they played through the whole thing, which is like 40 hours plus is the campaign, and it wasn't diverse, and that the only female character in it was some sort of giant boss monster thing, and that was it. And then I was looking, that can't be fucking true, because I know that whole story, the Journey to the West thing from that mythology, does have female characters, and then you saw some in some of the early trailer stuff as well. So I just started to look up some more reviews, and some dude was actually talking about the review that I'd read, and he was saying there's no way this person played the game because
Wow.
for the first 2 chapters you don't meet any female characters.
Yeah.
He said so, but after that, then he goes, yeah, there's a bunch of them, and there's so much so that there's people cosplaying as these characters now and everything. But whoever it
Mm.
is that did this review didn't bother their arse. They just played the first fucking couple of acts
Yeah.
and went,
Play a few hours,
grand.
yeah. And
Yeah,
then
and then said they played over 40 and didn't. So it's proof that some people don't read them. You know, if you're looking at something on Rotten Tomatoes or whatever, and someone said, "Oh, it's just more of the same, say Marvel stuff. It's the same formula." It's like you didn't watch it. You watched the trailer, or you read someone else's review, and just went ahead with it. And
it's too
it really
generic.
pissed
It's
me
too
off.
it's too similar. They see, you know, this is what some person wrote, and they kind of pick little bits from each thing and just conjure up their own review when attacked, or when you go into it. It was very obviously falls apart.
And it's tried that, because again, this was one that people tried to boycott, just like last year when they tried to get a boycott going for Hogwarts Legacy.
Yeah.
And like both these games, both Hogwarts Legacy and now Black Myth Wukong, both ended up being the highest selling games of the year.
Yeah.
So your boycott isn't working; it's doing the opposite. Like,
like no need to boycott the game.
Yeah. Like Black Myth Wukong sold 10 million copies in the first 4 days, like insane.
That's amazing.
And then the one last thing, right? And this is just something that it's on the lines of geeky, but it's not so much news. Is that, as you know, big Star Wars fan. I look at a few of these different channels, Star Wars Explain and Star Wars Theory, and a few other ones that I kind of just see what the latest news is and what their views are and stuff. And I don't agree with some. I don't agree with others. I like some people's fan-made, fan fiction, and some I don't. I just flick through them every now and again. But I flicked on the other day, and there's some big internal feud going on where one of the channels got this like basically a coordinated attack on the channels they don't like, and tried to get them demonetized on YouTube. And I hate that. Like, I think it's one of these unwritten things, between creators on YouTube and other platforms. You don't try to demonetize anybody. If you don't like their content, make a fucking video saying this. But anyway, they had all their followers, a bunch of different channels, all within 2 minutes of each other, had all contacted YouTube. So it was obviously coordinated. But YouTube checked it out, came back to them and said, no, there's nothing wrong with these videos, just staying up. But there's a bunch of them they'd mentioned. I know some of them I find to be quite crass, like Nerdrotic. Do you know Nerdrotic?
Yeah, I know him. Yeah,
I can find him to be a bit misogynistic and stuff like that. I wouldn't be a massively fan of his style of stuff. But it was him and then a bunch of others. But one guy was your man. Star Wars Theory is the biggest Star Wars channel on YouTube. He's got like over 3 million followers, and he has his own lightsaber company. They make replica lightsabers. He does his own. He's put money into making his own films, like short film, fan films, all this kind of stuff, and wasn't bothering anybody. And they just kind of dragged him into it. And then it's just this whole big mess. It's worth looking into, because you see they're all now bitching back at each other, and the people who tried to cancel them are getting destroyed. They've lost like 10,000 followers in the last few days. People just downvoting everything they put up. All and rightly so. Like, you shouldn't. I don't get it. If you don't like someone's stuff, you make a video saying you don't like it. But going to YouTube and starting
to attack them and trying to derail them.
They started saying, this stuff, they're real, they're racism, and they're saying this, that, and the other. And they put up the examples they gave YouTube, and they kind of cut. They were very selective about what they said to make it sound like someone was being racist. Like, one guy was talking about how he didn't like the character of that what your one Tran played in Last Jedi. Was it Rose something?
And
so
Rose.
The video is him actually saying that he's a big fan of the actor. I think she's wonderful. She seems really sweet. She deserves a lot better than the character. The character is terrible, and they use that as an example of him having Asian hate for saying. I think he hadn't said. He just said the character shit. She deserved better. Is actually what he'd said, and it's just it's wild to me that people do that. When they're. When we're all out here trying to create different things, I don't like some people's reviews. I like other people's. Some people get shout outs, some don't. But it's just wild. I just thought I'd mention it because it's.
They're saying, this is Asian hate, or it's anti-feminist or any of this kind of stuff, and it's actually you're the one hating on that to an extent that you're going, down this avenue of really fucking trying
Yeah,
to attack somebody. It's just like, yeah. If you want to make a video about something that you don't like, that's fucking fine. Like,
that's it. Like, I just thought it was worth bringing up just because of the fact that we obviously put videos and stuff out there, but I wouldn't dare of trying to get someone's
no,
livelihood
Jesus
taken
Christ.
away because I don't like their views. And I just thought it was really interesting because we
Mm,
had spoken multiple times in the past on this show about the geek community and how it's great to have people with similar but it doesn't matter even in your little own niche community, i.e. say Star Wars, you've got massive infighting, from people who love the Disney Star Wars stuff to people who don't love the Disney Star Wars stuff. And then, there's this whole extra layer of infighting. I just find the whole thing wild. But I just
yeah,
thought it was
because
interesting to
yeah,
bring up and discuss. Like,
absolutely. Because it's all subjective anyway. It's just like we might fucking apart from Borderlands, which like that's just shit across the board. But yeah, some people like things, some other different tastes, different strokes for different folks. It's all fucking well and good. But it's yeah, it's when someone's kind of going that their opinion is the one and all. There's one all and only opinion out there. It's
yeah,
just like if you have a different opinion, it's just the amount of rage it can incite in people is astonishing. It's just subjective, man. You like something, someone else doesn't like something, like the Acolyte or something. It's fine if people like that, and other people absolutely fucking detest it. It's cool. You just move on, like
yeah, it's
fucking
wild.
relax.
And
Yeah.
but anyway, no, that's all for me. I just thought that was an interesting thing to bring up, just because I guess I always just thought, I think of it just as the Star Wars fandom. I never really thought
Mm.
about the factions
It's so
among the
fractured, yeah.
fandom. Yeah,
Fractions.
yeah.
Oh, it's fucking
But
brilliant.
yeah, that's all for news on my end. What about yourself?
Yeah, a few things. First, Star Wars Outlaws, PS5 and Steam and Xbox game is reported to it's underperformed for Ubisoft, which is not a surprise given the lackluster. When I say lackluster reviews, it's still like 77% on Metacritic, which is pretty decent. But a lot of main YouTube channels came out and detested it completely, which I thoroughly disagree with. But they said, yeah, they were expecting, like a lot of the news pieces online were just like, oh, it's a mess and it's down, and Ubisoft stock is down 13% or some shit like that. But it said the game's only sold 5.5 million copies as opposed to 7.5 million what they were targeting. But when like that's still a pretty successful game
Yeah,
release, you know what I mean? It's just like 5.5 million copies sold. It's not too bad. But obviously with their revenue and their profits on it, because it's a license, Disney get a
yeah.
substantial
Star
chunk
Wars
of that. So
license. Yeah,
that does impact on it, which is a shame. But everyone's saying that it's a train wreck of a game. Is the way they're missing the mark completely. Word of mouth is pretty good in it, and I'm hoping that sales pick up, because I love a sequel to this game. I'll
I
get to that in a little bit. Yeah.
well, I think what as well, what could be affecting that Ubisoft share price is the already backlash that's there for Assassin's Creed Shadows that isn't even out yet
Mm,
because of they're saying that some of the, like, this is not from just the Western world. This is actually they act that come out and reassure Japanese fans, because it was
mm,
Japanese people who were previewing the game and stuff and saying, no, this is historically wrong. That architecture is actually Chinese, not Japanese.
yeah.
The whole furore over the Asuke, or the Black Samurai, and whether he's a samurai or not, or who he was in history,
Mm,
the guy apparently they were using as their source for everything, ended up, the people were saying he's a fraud, he doesn't know fuck all, and there's all this mess before it's even come out. So
mm,
a game like that should have pre-orders through the roof now. You should be looking at special edition, deluxe edition.
mm,
People should be pre-ordering it to get their extra skins and whatnot, and they're just not seeing that. So I think when you add that into the fact that maybe they are losing money because they
yeah.
must have paid serious money to Disney for the Star Wars license,
Absolutely.
it's not surprising they're in a bit of trouble.
And the Prince of Persia: Lost Crown, which was a fantastic game, equally kind of underperformed, but a lot of that is from the marketing aspect of it that just wasn't marketed enough. And the same with Star Wars
Yeah.
Outlaws. People saying that, why are you showcasing a demo or some of the released mission footage um, ahead of launch of of planet of a new planet that no one really knows, like Toshiro or whatever. Like, do one of the more familiar planets that are in there, do something about Tatooine. I was telling you, sent you a picture that like when you get to Tatooine in that game, you can stop and it's a real a real life day night cycle around the suns and moons, so you can watch the twin suns setting. Or it's fucking
Yeah.
brilliant, like really, really. And they should have led with that. Then yeah. But anyway, that's one of those things. Unfortunately, that's underperforming. The next bit is the movie Megalopolis. Francis Ford Coppola's $120 million magnum opus is tracking now to make between 5 and 7 million in the US and opening
My
weekend,
God.
which would be a fucking absolute colossal disaster. I mean, he put up sold his wineries to fucking do this. Like, who needs a winery, you know? And it's actually, it's more so that it doesn't matter if the movie looks like it's fucking all over the place, but it doesn't matter if it's a good movie or a bad movie now, because it's no one knows what the fuck the movie is, neither the
Yeah.
movie going audience or seemingly the people actually marketing the movie. Like, it's very inconsistent and incoherent what actually this fucking movie is. It's like, it's bananas, and it's finally got a release date, the 27th of September. In I think it's worldwide, and I cannot fucking wait to see this movie.
Are we going to do it?
Have
Oh,
to
no,
do
wait.
it.
Let me just work it
What's
out.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing it because that'll be my week. I'm not fucking talking to that shit.
We'll give people a week to. I don't mind doing it. So yeah, that should be a lot of fun. Yeah, the last piece was the PS5 Pro is releasing this November 7th, and it's coming in. I couldn't believe my eyes when I actually saw the
Insane.
press release on it and then watched the video afterwards. But it's coming in like $700, but 800 fucking euros. And this is like, it's 800 euros, but there's no disc drive on it.
Yeah, you can pay an
Like,
extra 100. It's like it's £700 sterling, and because I'd only seen the
yeah,
sterling ad, £700 sterling, but £800 sterling if you want the disc version.
yeah. So that's like 900 euros with the disc drive, and they don't give you they don't even include the stand for it. And they're charging 35 euros for the stand piece of plastic. Just put it in the fucking box for 930 fucking euros to get like a
Fucking
very
hell.
slight upgrade. I mean, we've been here before in terms of Sony and PlayStation success. Like, after the PS2 was colossal success, it was amazing. The when the PS3 came out, remember that was like $600 or 600 euros or something like that, and everyone just gone, "Whoa, what the fuck?" Like, you can't release something for fucking 600 or 700 euros. But yeah, like, in terms of upgrades, like, I watched the video of Mark Cerny, the technical architect of Sony, who's like a poor man's Dana Carvey. Fucking hairstyle on him, it's unbelievable. He looks amazing. But it's one of these where it's like, it's got an upgraded, I have it here, upgraded GPU, and it's just like, oh, it's 45% faster. It doesn't have ray tracing. It's got advanced ray tracing. This is kind of shit that people turn off anyway in performance mode. It's got AI driven upscaling, and it's just, and they call that the big three upgrades. And when you're watching it, you're just going, what the fuck? Like, it's just, when people market things based on stats and percentage increases, it just
Yeah.
smells of Apple or Samsung and their year to year iterations, about 26% bigger battery, better, it's just like, what the fuck does that mean? What, like, I'm fucking 8 or 900 euros just to get like this. And even a lot of it is based on, like, in the current generation consoles, obviously there's this initial furore about this whole choosing fidelity mode to get your 4K ray tracing versus performance mode. And you just like to get your 60 frames per second versus, ray tracing with 30 frames per second. And this is going to go, oh, is this going to take care of that? They're just kind of going, yes, but no, because it's down to the fucking developers of the games to do it. So you could literally still pay this, and someone just churns out a game, and it's still 4K, but it's still 30 frames per second. It looks slightly better. Like, some of the video, like, the presentation was so fucking shit. Like, they're just like, look at this image from Ratchet and Clank, a 4-year-old game. that look in the background of this scene, they put a tiny box side by side. Look, the crowd in the background is slightly more crisp, or they do The Last of Us 2, and look at this, like look at the leaves are a little bit, and just kind of, they're both 4-year-old games, like, and that's most do came out in last generation consoles, just like, oh my
Yeah.
god, you're not selling it, like, where are the new games? It was oh, it's like, you literally, you could put it side by side, pause it, and yeah, some of the leaves in Spider-Man 2 or some of the cars in the background slightly sharper, but fuck off with 800 or 900
Mm.
euros. Yeah, the backlash was incredible, but it might be a sign of things to come in terms of, the next generation, the pricing of consoles. That the
Yeah, that's the
gaming
first thing I
industry, yeah.
thought as well. Yeah, like if this is essentially their next step up.
Mm.
If they're justifying, what I said, 930 quid for the disc version,
Yeah,
it's hardly going to be when the PS6 comes out. That's going to be 500 quid. They're not going
no,
to. But how the fuck why is it half the price? So yeah, we could be looking at a huge price jump.
yeah,
So you kind of want this PS5 Pro to absolutely flop. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So they don't have a chance of fucking
absolutely.
charging that kind of
It's
money.
almost kind of a niche market. I mean, the PS4 Pro, like, it only sold 13% of the actual sales of the PlayStation 4. 13% were the PS4 Pro. But I guess it's a niche market, or the people who want that new tech, want that new thing. But people in
Yeah.
the industry are saying that it's like the gaming industry is able to maintain its health as long as it's kind of scaling. But like when it reaches the boundaries, then it's yeah, prices are going up, and you got to get your fucking wallets out. I mean, graphically, we're kind of on diminishing returns now in terms of the next PS5 to PS4, so it's not as great as the previous generations. And with no disk drive, it's just like, it's a bit of a kick in the teeth. So yeah, I won't be getting that, not day one anyway. Yeah, and that's pretty much it for news. So let's move on to what we've been playing and watching. What have you been up to, Philly?
So yeah, not massive in the new stuff. I was going to get the new Space Marine game, Space Marine 2.
Mm.
But I'm trying to save for my holiday, so I said, fuck it, I'll wait until I get back and pick it up next month. So instead, I started to replay Super Mario Odyssey, which is
Nice.
class. Yeah, it's just great. It's just such a great game. And I know it's fucking whatever. Are we 7 years old now? Maybe
7. Yeah.
Yeah, and it still just looks fantastic. It's. I love Disney Nintendo first party stuff. Is just always looks fantastic. Something new I watched is actually something we'd mentioned on the podcast, is that Subservience, the Megan Fox movie.
Oh, did you watch it?
I did. I was flicking through yesterday, and it was there. I was like, holy shit, is this a real proper version? And it was on. And so I watched it yesterday. And then today I just checked to find when the release date was. And the release date was yesterday. So it just must have gone straight to streaming. I'm not sure if it got a cinema release somewhere in the US or whatever, but man, it is fucking shocking. It is awful. So it really is. And it's hard to describe how many things they rip off in it. How many movies they rip off in it, but like, it's just, it's terrible. It shouldn't be watched by anyone. Even if you think Megan Fox is hot, it's just not. It's really just bad. Don't watch it. But yeah, I was just more surprised than anything else, just to be flicking through and go, wait a fucking second, is that the same movie we were in? But yeah, no, that's the only new stuff on my end. What about yourself? Besides your broken telly, have you managed to get to play anything?
Yeah, well, like a bit of Star Wars Outlaws before. That's my main jam this week. Yeah, and I downloaded Astrobot on PlayStation 5.
Oh, sweet.
But can't fucking play it because at the moment we've been downgraded to one of my computer monitors.
Can you use your portal thing or your little handheld PlayStation thing?
Yeah, I can play PlayStation on that, but I'm playing Outlaws on the Xbox, so I'm kind of stuck on that. But I don't want to play Astrobot on the
small screen.
Yeah, on the small one. I want a big screen, this lush fucking graphics. So that's waiting until I get a new TV. But we're downgraded to a little 28-inch monitor It's fucking tiny. Her daughter's just like, why is the TV so small? It's like, and she's doing the thing now where she's sitting like fucking 2 feet away from it. Like, kind of like, no, you can't sit that close, knowing well that I'm going to be kneeling in front of it that close later on playing video games. But I haven't really played that much. Hoping to get into Astrobot because I've heard fantastic things. The
Yeah, it
reviews are
looks amazing.
through the roof to saying it's the next thing since the next best thing since Mario 64, and just like holy shit, or Mario Odyssey, and just like oh fucking bring it on. But yeah, so hopefully we'll have played and watched more stuff next week. Now let's get on to our movie review, and Phil's going to take us through that. Take it away, Philly.
Cheers, dude. Yeah, this week's movie is, as we told you last week, is Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. So what we'll do is our usual spoiler-free part at the start, and then we'll move on to the spoiler stuff. So I'll hit you with the synopsis first, and then we can move on then and get your first impressions, Daz. So this is directed by Tim Burton, written by Alfred Goff, Miles Miller, and others. And the synopsis is 3 generations of the Dietz family return home to Winter River after an unexpected family tragedy. Still haunted by Beetlejuice, Lydia's life soon gets turned upside down when a rebellious teenage daughter discovers a mysterious portal to the afterlife. When someone says Beetlejuice's name 3 times, the mischievous demon gleefully returns to unleash his very own brand of mayhem. So go on, Daz, what's your initial impressions of it?
Yeah, this was a strange one. This kind of reminded me of a Deadpool-esque kind of coming out of the cinema feeling. I think it was good. It's not great, but I had a lot of fun for the most part, I think. I thought from a script point of view, this movie is an absolute fucking mess. It's like 2 different movies kind of mashed together, one from the afterlife and then one of the Dietz family. And tonally, it's a bit all over the place. I think the script was apparently been developed for like over a decade or something. That's alarmingly evident in the movie. But yeah, I think what the script lacks, the cast more than make up for. I think they're all fucking fantastic and having a ball. Michael Keaton, he's just fantastic. Like 35, 36 years since the original, and
he's early 70s now. So
he falls into that that kind of role of you can't imagine anyone doing anything else or anyone else doing this character or playing this character. I thought he was excellent. It's a long time to wait for. I think I could watch him every few years just play this character in whatever form. I think he's just having a ball. But yeah, I loved the look of it and the feel of it was great. Some of the music was fantastic, and just the look of the animatronics and miniatures and stuff like that. It felt like a direct sequel. It didn't have that kind of soft sheen, CG sheen that most legacy sequels or films in general have. But yeah, so while I was in there, I was kind of going, oh, some of this is kind of funny. There was a lot of times I was kind of checking my watch. A few different scenes kind of went on too long, and I wouldn't say I was bored, but I was very aware that I was in the cinema. But yeah, it was an odd one. I think the sum of its parts are much greater than the whole, I think. How about yourself?
Yeah, like I was similar, I suppose. Like I loved the performances. The likes of like Catherine O'Hara is amazing as well. I think like she's fucking brilliant in it. And obviously Jenna Ortega, who just keeps going from strength to strength. She's great. Winona Ryder, fantastic. Like it's good performances all around. Like Justin Theroux is fucking brilliant. He's brilliant. A lot of funny stuff. Like it's really great performance. But like this is a sequel, and I think we see less of Beetlejuice in this than we did in the fucking first one. Like it's not enough of him in the movie. He's
not in it for fucking ages. Like,
yeah, and like he's the big draw. You know what I mean? Like we get to see snaps of him early on, but it's not really. But to actually get introduced to the proper character is feck all, and it's just like you said, the story. They should have spent more time, say, if they want on certain parts of it, rather than trying to go all these different loops. Like you didn't need to give. We'll get into more in the spoiler section when we talk about the different parts of the story, but I don't know. It didn't know which direction it was trying to go. And like I think when there was about half an hour left, like I was looking, going, I feel like we're still ramping up, like we're still
Mm.
getting into it. And I was like, shit, I know this movie's over because I looked at, like, I'd
Time
seen
it's
the
over in
listing.
15
I knew,
minutes.
yeah, I was like, this movie's over soon, and like, I don't feel like they've done enough at all. Like, we've barely getting into the where the stakes should be getting high
Mm.
between Lydia and Beetlejuice, and then all of a sudden we're in the kind of the end of it. And it's just, yeah, it was kind of unsatisfying. But like you, it was still a lot of fun. Like there's
Mm.
so many individual scenes in it that are great fun. Like
Yeah.
Willem Dafoe is great crack. Like it's there's good performances, and the effects that you mentioned, as yeah, I love them, especially on the sand snake. That looks
Yeah.
so similar to the original. Like they
Mm.
really went heavy with the practical effects. You know, obviously touched up with CGI, but they
Mm.
really used a lot of practical effects on it, which is great. Like yeah, like it's a decent movie. It's good fun. I just don't know if it was necessary, you know, because I
No.
think that when we have these movies that come out years after the original, they need to add something. You know, there needs to be
Mm.
something new to it to make you go, oh, holy shit, like this, that was worth the wait. Like if you look at, say, Blade Runner, for example. When
Mm.
the Blade Runner came out and gave you a whole different story, you're following this actual, you know,
Mm.
proper
Same
Blade
world,
Runner
but
around it.
different, whole different thing.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it would with just enough, you know, to references and stuff to the last one. Whereas then you get something like, say, Anchorman, whatever there was, like fucking 10, 12 years or whatever it was between those
Yeah.
two movies. And the second one's absolute garbage, wasn't needed.
Mm.
Dumb and Dumber didn't need a sequel. There's no need for a new Bill and Ted. Things like
Yeah.
this, just let them lie.
Mm.
And although this is nowhere near as bad as some of those ones, this is actually a bit of fun. It just felt unnecessary, you know. So yeah, I'm kind of lukewarm on the whole thing. Like it was good, but it really
Mm.
wasn't great.
Yeah, the minute you get it, the minute you come out of the cinema and I was driving home, just kind of going, oh, okay, yeah, there was, because I was still kind of going, oh, that was fun, and you know, thinking, would I watch another one and this and that, and on the drive home, I started forgetting, like I forgot the ending after about 20 minutes. I can just remember the parts I kind of laughed at
Yeah,
and the performances, and but then, as you say, when we get into the spoiler thing, when you start breaking down some of the performances, they're good, but there's some characters in this, if you take them out of the story, nothing changes whatsoever. It's just
yeah,
like, it's just what the fuck is going on? I thought from the trailers that they were going to reverse it a bit and have it a little bit in the real world and then do a lot more in the afterlife, which, you know, is kind of touched on in the first movie, but I thought they were really going to deep dive into that. But it's yeah, it's quite strange how long before things really kind of ramp up with Beetlejuice arriving, and then things kick into gear a little bit. But even during that, you know, first 40 minutes or first half of the movie, not enough is happening. Like, it totally echo what you say. There's a halfway point, Beetlejuice arrives. You're kind of going like, I don't, not enough has happened here. I don't. There's not enough
yeah.
stakes. It feels like then the movie just kind of starts getting going again, and you're going, fucking, like, as you say, you only have 20 minutes left. Where the fuck is this going? And why is there a fucking 5-minute song sequence that you don't need to do this? Yeah, but
Yeah, and
it's
I think
behind the scenes, it's a mess, like,
I,
absolutely.
I definitely do agree with the stuff with like the characters. You could take them out. Like as much as I enjoyed Willem Dafoe, you
Mm.
didn't need him in it. Monica Bellucci's
Pointless
the same.
character.
Monica
Yeah,
Bellucci was the same. That whole side story thing with
mm.
that, no really need for that at all. You know.
And she disappears
Um,
for large portions of the movie. Just like, where is she? Like,
and
oh,
even the guy with Astrid, you know, with Jenna
mm.
Ortega's character. I mean, even that you could have done an easier thing of
They're just all there's
getting her
too
there.
many things. There's too many things thrown into a pot, and they all are incredibly underdeveloped because they all had potential. Like Monica Bellucci's introduction
Yeah,
scene is fantastic. Probably one of the best scenes in the movie. I thought it was excellent. But
yeah,
then it's weird. They have like kind of two villains, and they're both, you know, half-heartedly done. It's just a bit like, oh, yeah, messy,
yeah.
messy.
Yeah. Did you know that they're together, Tim Burton and Monica Bellucci?
No, I did not.
Yeah, lucky son of a bitch. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, I think they might have met at this. I don't know if it was because of this movie when they were making this movie they hooked up or what. Like, but yeah,
Yeah.
apparently for the last couple of years they've been knocking boots. But God damn it, she is one incredible looking woman.
Astonishing, astonishing lady.
Yeah. So I suppose look, that's kind of our vibe. I think like I don't want to say a 2.5 because that's kind of bad. I think 3, but just a real middling 3. Sometimes we
Yeah.
say, yeah, this is a really great 3-star movie. This is just a 3 middling. Yeah, I wouldn't even bother going to the cinema. Like watch it home. You'll have a few
Yeah.
laughs. You'll reminisce, especially if you enjoyed the first one. But for me, it's kind of it was okay.
Yeah. 3 for me too. Kind of just
Yeah.
more nostalgia ticks. It ticks a lot of nostalgia boxes for me, which
Yeah.
if you don't really remember the first, so it depends how fondly you remember the first, I guess. Yeah.
I
3
suppose,
stars.
yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, look, we'll get on then into spoiler section. So if you're sticking around, so like as we said, we've already mentioned Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara. So basically, there's only really 3 of the original cast that actually return. So that's Catherine O'Hara, Lydia Thing, and sorry, Winona Ryder and Michael Keaton. I'm pretty sure there's no one else that was in the original one.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Jones, obviously, because he's a sexual offender, child predator. Didn't get asked back for this one, not surprisingly. He's just a gross dude. I don't even think I would have had him in like the memorial that they have for him. When they have like the funeral and they have a picture of stuff, I wouldn't have even bothered with that. Like he's just a gross dude.
Yeah.
But I was really into the intro because the intro is, it's Danny Elfman music and it's Danny Elfman, Tim Burton. It's just they go hand in hand, obviously. And as much as I'm saying I only gave this a 3 stars, this is still the best thing I've seen from Tim Burton, apart from these kind of few episodes he directed of Wednesday.
I still haven't seen Wednesday, actually. Like, I'd go really to see Wednesday. I watched that straight away after Jenna's performance, because I'm not really following some of her stuff too much, but straight away I was just like, oh, fucking hell, she's excellent. So, yeah, I'm going to definitely check out Wednesday. But on the Tim Burton front, yeah, Jesus. Like, I kind of tuned out of Tim Burton a little bit after, like, Planet of the Apes, Sleepy Hollow before that. I thought he was on a fantastic run, and Planet of the Apes came out, and it's just like, I know that's 23 fucking years ago, but after that, it's just like, that hurt so bad that I didn't really... Corpse Bride, I guess, was good, but...
Big Fish was great.
A Big Fish, yeah. But he was just, he just wasn't... Charlie and Chocolate Factory as well. It's just fucking creepy and weird. Just, what are you doing? Like, his style that I really loved growing up, like, loved that kind of gothic Edward Scissorhands, Batman and stuff. But that seemed to just fall away visually, so I just wasn't really interested in him too much. But this is, the best thing he's done in quite some time.
Yeah. And it does, and like you said, because of the effects, because of the opening and everything, it does have that vibe. And if when you watch the first one, and they have that little miniature kind of town, and I love that they kind of have that in the opening, and
so good.
It has a really 80s intro kind of vibe to it. And you see as they're going across the town, you see the bridge, the enclosed bridge, and you can see the cars underneath it and cool.
Yeah.
That really it was a really nice little nod to it. And there's a few nods, obviously, to the Maitlands in it, because they weren't going to cast Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin in this because trying to de-age them. I think it would have been too much, especially when you're trying to stick to practical effects, trying to de-age two actors, whereas you can just cover fucking Michael Keaton in makeup and he's good to go. But yeah, so we kind of we get into the present day, and it's Lydia has her own TV show, and it's kind of like the ghostly adventures of her going into places, and she does still see ghosts like she did in the first one. And we kind of see, this is where we do, like, I know you're saying we don't get this introduced really to Beetlejuice, but we kind of get a flash here at the start to let you know that she's still kind of being haunted by him, because she's in the crowd. She kind of looks into the crowd, and all of a sudden she sees flash of Beetlejuice, and she looks away and looks back, and it's just some person. And it's just, it was, that was kind of the first introduced, and I thought, okay, we're going to start seeing more and more of them. So then it was kind of a letdown to not see him till halfway through the movie. But she's with, we meet Justin Theroux, who's kind of her producer / boyfriend, and he's fucking hilarious, because he's such a dickhead. Yeah, like, he's a dickhead. He's acting all like spiritual, new age kind of thing. That's how they met, at some sort of rehab retreat thing. Um, and yeah, he's his usual brilliant self. Like I watch anything with him, and I think he's fantastic. Um, and she gets the phone when she gets the phone call from her mother, and it's Catherine O'Hara, who is, as I said, fantastic in it. And I loved her way of telling her that the father was dead, because she just rings her and goes, "Your father has left me," and she's like, "What do you mean he left me? What happened? You know, I can't believe he's left me." And she's like, "What? How did he? Did he leave you? Was
No.
he cheating or something?" "No, he's dead." It's like
Yeah.
just making it about herself. You know, it's just fucking
She's one of
brilliant.
the funniest
Yeah,
women or funniest actors around
yeah.
today. She's fucking a diamond.
Yeah, she really is. It's just so fucking fun. So, of course, Lydia has to go to make her way back home, and that's because they're going to have the funeral and everything at the old house. But what we do then is we get our first kind of cut to the underworld, the land of the dead, and straight away I knew this was Danny DeVito. Like you see
Yeah,
from the
yeah.
back, there's a dude mobbing out. It's like
Amazing
this
how you
dude's
can
fucking
tell.
short. Everything, yeah, you can tell. And then he opens his mouth. It's like 100%. That's definitely him. Before we've even seen his face. Danny DeVito is basically a janitor, and
Mm.
he's down there fucking cleaning up and polishing the floors and stuff. And then he ends up going into this room where there's all this fucking storage boxes, and it's obviously where they keep I suppose where they keep just fucking occult bits and pieces, isn't
Bits
it?
of
I'm not really,
creatures
it's
and
not
bits of
fully
people and
explained,
stuff.
but
Yeah.
yeah. But anyway, he knocks over all these boxes, and then he ends up, when he puts his cleaner fucking whatchamacallit machine over it, he gets this massive electric shock, and that kind of electric shock brings Monica Bellucci back to life. And she's been separated into bits. And so you just see her coming back together, and it's just so good. Like, it's just, her legs come from one place and her arms come from the other, and
Staples
it's
her
really, really
head
cool.
together and staples her body
Yeah.
together. It's fucking brilliant sequence. And that, I was feeling really good about the movie at that point. It was just like, oh fucking hell, yeah! Like if you just give me that half and half, underworld and real world, and Monica Bellucci, like apart from her being sexiest woman on the planet, she looks fucking cool. It's really cool.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
just go,
yeah.
oh, okay, this is the big bad. Here we go. But yeah,
Yeah,
it
the
kind of peaks
staples
here and just trails off. Like,
the staples are brilliant when she's just fucking stapling her half together, stapling her arm, stapling her ear on.
yeah,
Um, it's brilliant, and I loved as well how because she's a soul sucker, we find out, and how she
oh yeah.
kills Danny DeVito when she just kind of fucking picks him up and basically just like Death Eater kind of style, and
Yeah,
then he just shrink into this empty pile of thing and just fall on the
it's like a
ground.
rubber
Like,
skin mess. So
yeah,
fucking, that's
just like a
vicious.
little accordion. It's hilarious. But it's like something you would have expected from the first movie.
Yeah,
They really kept that kind of vibe going.
yeah.
But like you, Des, I think at this point as well, I was like, okay, man, I'm into this. She is looking for Beetlejuice, so I'm pretty sure we're going to see him pretty soon.
And it's terrifying that like it's kind of funny in how she kills Danny DeVito and stuff, but you're going, oh, like that's as your mode of killing or whatever. That's a pretty fucking terrifying thing, and you'd be invested in that straight away. Just like, get away from this fucking crazy lady. But
yeah,
anyway.
and we don't know too much. We just, obviously we find she's after Beetlejuice, but we're not entirely sure why. And we're back into the real world then, and you got Astrid in school, and she's almost disowned her mother. She doesn't really want to talk about her because her mom her dad has passed away, and the mother apparently who says she can see ghosts. Astrid doesn't believe her because she's like, if you could, we would have seen Dad by now. So and we haven't. So she's not answering the phone. There's obviously been a big rift between them since the father had died. And yeah, you're just kind of setting up that early setting relationship between the two of them, which I think they played wonderfully throughout the movie. Like, they didn't, a lot of these movies, they think they reconnect way too quickly. You know what I mean? Like, all this animosity is gone. They really carry it on. You feel it between the two of them, the stress that Lydia is under. I really enjoyed it. What about you? What did you think of the interplay between the two of them?
I thought, yeah, their on-screen chemistry is fantastic, but I thought Jenna just stole the show in those scenes. Like, Winona Ryder is amazing and doesn't fucking age, by the way.
Yeah.
She's like in her early 50s or something. Like, holy fuck. But I think in this movie, like, Winona Ryder does what she has to do pretty well, and she's a fucking really, really good actor. But I felt she has the least to do in the whole movie, which is I thought was kind of a shame. Like she's holding the show, as the mother and all that, but she just I missed the kind of gothic teen angst character from the first movie. It's nice to see her grow up and become a mother and all that, but yeah, Jenna's I think she just stole every scene. I think she was just fantastic. But exactly what you're saying, you really believe their dynamic, their kind of chemistry.
Yeah.
It's not overplayed, it's not underplayed. It's just very believable, and it does take time for them to reconcile, which is pretty good. And it's
Yeah, yeah.
it's very little dialogue. It's not. It's one of those things. It's just not overly written. It's just very very believable.
And yeah, no, yeah, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, and we see it unfold as we go on. But we kind of get our first. This is where we kind of get our first glimpse then of Beetlejuice, actually Michael Keaton actually acting. So when we go back into the kind of afterlife part, he's like a call center manager or something? Like, what is the department he's working in? But he's basically head of the department, and all his kind of lackeys are all dudes with the shrunken heads, like you see from the first movie when, who are wonderful. Hilarious. Especially like your man, the one guy, Bob. Who basically just dresses like Beetlejuice, and they're fucking brilliant. Again, practical effects. It's really, really, really good. And so he plays that, and then Willem Dafoe plays. He's like a dead actor who played like a cop or something in real life.
He dreams of being a detective or something. Yeah, really does.
Yeah. And he's he's cool looking. He's kind of, again, he's got the prosthetic of the missing half his head is cut off here, so you can see his brain. And again, he looks cool and all the rest of it, but it's just he doesn't really play a massive part in it. I thought he was going to. I thought the whole thing was going to be okay. It's a big back and forth. He pops up every now and again, but for the most part, he's not really involved. You feel
like, because there's so many kind of moving parts here. It's exciting at the start, story wise. Monica Bellucci and himself, two new characters. And that's why I thought there'd be more in the afterlife itself, because Monica Bellucci does disappear for about 40 minutes in the movie, and when Willem Dafoe pops up, it's more like, oh, look at this kind of kooky character who's wants to be a detective, and he was a cop, and look, half his head's blown off, and it's all well and good, and he plays it fucking brilliantly. But it's just like there's kind of no point to his character. It doesn't really go anywhere, which was a shame, to be honest. I think they could have been utilized a lot more effectively, because they're obviously having
me too. Definitely. I can imagine it must have had an absolute crack, and especially because there's so much practical stuff. You can see a lot of this stuff is actual sets. And so you're not just fucking around in front of green screen. Like, a lot of this stuff is around, and you're around a bunch of people and mad characters that are all in fucking stuff as well. Like later on, when those guys with the tiny heads are cycling bikes and stuff around, and it's just, they must have just had an absolute blast with it. Like, but yeah, we find out now from like Willem Dafoe that Monica Bellucci is back, and this is where we find out it's actually Beetlejuice's ex-wife. And then when we get back into the real world, we get this. What I loved was the funeral song. So the funeral song is actually in the trailer. So it's that Daylight Come. I'm not sure what the name of the fucking song is called. Deo, I think maybe it's called. Yeah. But that's great. There's just a little kind of younger choir singing it, and this is at the funeral for the father. And it's it's great to have that little nod, because I didn't think it wasn't. Because it wasn't just a song used in the original movie. It actually was that scene. The Beetlejuice the Maitlands had made the family all sing the song and all do the dance. They kind of inhabited them, controlled them, and made them do it. And so it was a cool nod. They played it. It was there for him. It was there for their family, because they experienced it. It wasn't just, oh, do you remember this song was in the first one in the background as part of the soundtrack? It makes
perfect sense from a story point of view. It's not just tugging on the nostalgia. It just made sense, which was nice. Because it's a part later on when they try and redo this kind of possessed and singing songs and stuff, which falls flat, which really, yeah, showcases what an amazing scene that was in that movie way back when. I remember
Yeah,
seeing that and just going, this is fucking fantastic. This is probably the best dinner sequence of all time. Like, fucking
that
brilliant.
is like that's I think that really is what that as you said the song scene is towards the end, but and it doesn't hit anywhere near the one like that. That sequence in the first movie is amazing, and I'm
Mm,
sure everybody here has fucking seen the first one, but that scene is just fucking
it's
hilarious,
phenomenal.
man. It really is. Like, um, but yeah, so we're like we got after the funeral, we see. I think this is kind of where we find out about Astrid kind of lashing out and being angry at Lydia that she
Mm.
still can't see her dead dad. And then we get a bit more background then on what happened between Beetlejuice and oh God, I want to see, what was the name? What was her name in it again? Because I've completely fucking forgot what Monica Bellucci's character's name was.
Ooh. Is it
It was
Dolores or
something like
something?
Eleanor or something like that. Was it Dolores? That's bang on. You're right. It
The
is
Dolores?
Dolores. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, so we find out that she had poisoned him, and then he was the one who chopped her up into bits, and that's why she was put away, and she just wants revenge at him. And then we're back at the funeral, and this is great because it's like they have again, Catherine O'Hara, Delia is making the whole thing about her, and she's organized photo shoots and all this kind of shit, and she has the whole house is draped in like black drapes and all this shit, and just in the rose there, and then he ends up wanting to make it about him then as well. So he proposes at the funeral to the thing, and she doesn't know where to look. She's looking
guilts
out.
her into saying
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. Guilts her into it, and it's such fun. He's so pathetic
Yeah.
and manipulative, and like it's so awkward. His relationship. He's trying to be the dad as well to
Yeah.
to Astrid and the two of them, and she's having none of it.
He's trying to be
And
the
it's real.
cool dad.
Yeah, even the language that he's using and stuff too, or trying to be hip or whatever. And it's again the two of them. They don't have too many scenes where it's just the two of them, but it's played well.
And scenes like
yeah,
that, like especially the interplay between everyone at that funeral sequence. But
yeah,
it's moments like that where this movie shines, and that awkwardness and that fucking preposterous nature of what's actually happening. It's just, yeah, it just everything
yeah.
when all the cogs are just moving, it just works fucking brilliant. But it's just
That's like you said at the start, as you were saying, like there's parts in this that are just fantastic.
so
If
good.
only it just wasn't more consistent. Because this is a great scene. Like she doesn't know where to look. She knows she's looking over at Astrid, who's fucking obviously can't believe that this is happening, and then she's the pressures to have she's looking over, and fucking Catherine O'Hara is like, "What the fuck are you doing? This guy's a nut job," but she feels so pressured, and all the media and stuff are there because he's called them, and so they end up fucking. She ends up saying yes, and Astrid then gets so pissed off that she jumps on a bike and she cycles off. She's angry as shit, and when she cycles off down, she's fucking loses control of the bike, trying to dodge a truck or something coming towards her, like a bin truck or something.
She almost crashes like 3 or 4 times, and it's just like,
yeah, she does,
and
the bike goes out of control and ends up crashing through a fence and into a tree. And there's this dude sitting up in the treehouse, and she starts yapping to him, and immediately there's chemistry between the two of them, and she's obviously very smitten with this fella. And she mentions that she has to go back because there's just to go back to the house. She has to go back, but she'll see him again. And when she goes back, this time she goes up into the attic and she finds the miniature town. And there's a leaflet, I think, that says Beetlejuice on it, and fucking Astrid's or Lydia stops her. Don't ever say that name. Da, 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 da. So out she goes, and then Justin Theroux arrives, and this is where we end up getting summoned Beetlejuice, because Justin Theroux was like, "Look, it's for your own good." He's like, "No, don't say that name. It's that he'll only appear." And he's like, I'm doing this for you. This is best thing. And he says it 3 times because he thinks that it's all in her head and it's not real. And obviously this is a horrific, terrible mistake, because both of them fucking pull down into the underworld and into what's essentially like a couples therapy office with the two of them on the couch and Beetlejuice in front of them. And it's brilliant. It's so good. Like it's great to see the two of them properly on screen together again, because like the last time we saw them obviously was the in the last movie, and it's just I wonder how what they're like. Are they good friends
Mm.
offset or what the two of them? Because it's great straight away. She's just she's angry at him. What do you think you're doing? Da, 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 da. Whereas most people like Justin Theroux is fucking thoroughly terrified and freaked out. Whereas
He's just
she's
like,
fully
what the
aware that
fuck is happening
yeah,
here? Like,
yeah, where she's fully aware that he's just this demon, this mischievous demon. She's like, I'm not fucking having any of it. And but then he starts talking about her, says that she's been, but he wants her to be a family, and that she's have a baby between them, and you just see her her stomach swelling up and stuff, and but then when we see the baby Beetlejuice
it's one of the best things in the
that
movie.
pops out. It's the fucking creepiest thing. It's creepier than that baby on the ceiling in Trainspotting. Like, this thing is just this thing is fucking horrifying little tiny Beetlejuice fucking thing, and it's fucking awful looking. But again, it's obviously there's some CG, but it's a practical thing as well, a little animatronic thing.
Hmm.
I loved it. Give me your kind of thoughts around this as we're finally getting to see them together.
Oh, it's just a transition into that sequence, and it's more been played through Justin Theroux's performance, because the other two are just like, oh, here we go again, same old, same old. They're back together again. But he's like, he's looking around, given the transport into that room. He's like, wait, what's happening? When the fucking baby comes out, I mean, I was fucking in hysterics in the cinema. The cinema was quite packed actually for this one, which is good. But just look at his fucking face, and it's just so grotesque, but also fucking adorable. You're just like, oh, I want a little fucking a little teddy of that for my daughter. My wife just fucking throw it in the bin straight away. But yeah, it's wonderful, and again, it's like there's a lot of false starts with this movie. Straight away here, you're just going, all right, here we fucking go. Finally, we're here. This is going to be the second half of this movie is just going to ramp up, and we're going to march all the way to the end in hysterics and lunacy. But doesn't quite happen that way. But yeah, it's more Justin Theroux's thing, his performance that I loved from this scene. But again, yeah, just seeing Winona Ryder and Michael Keaton together, their characters, it's just the look of their faces so familiar. It's just like, oh, here we go again. It's really
Yeah.
It's kind of it's just one of those things where the movie seems so much like it could have been a sequel, like aesthetically, the way it's filmed and everything, that it could have been a sequel 3 years later. It just doesn't seem like there's this big a gap, except for the ages in the character. So it's when you see them together again, that's when you get that kind of warm, nostalgic feeling, like,
Yeah.
cool, this is great. I wish it was more of that.
I agree with you about the Justin Theroux stuff for sure. Like, and he's
So
like, as he says, Beetlejuice says something like, I'm gonna spill my guts, and literally, you like, the guts just fucking spill all the ground. And Justin Theroux, but it shows as well. It was showing how little Justin Theroux actually listens or believes her when she's talking about this stuff. Like, he's her manager on her show and acts like he believes that she can see ghosts, all this stuff. But yet, when they're transported, he's like, "What the fuck? Where are we? Why is any of this happening?" As if, well, it's only the stuff we've been talking about for fucking forever. My show is based on you've supposedly believed me that I can commune with these things. And then, it's our first inkling of, okay, he really doesn't believe any of this shit. But to get home, she just says home, 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 and they get transported back. And the idea here is that Lydia and Justin Theroux's character are due to get married on Halloween night. So she's drops off Astrid off at the guy's house because she says she has a date. She goes, that's fine, just as long as you make sure that you're back here in time for the wedding. And she drops the guys. She drives in there, drops him off. She sees him up in the window. Seems like a nice dude. She's delighted for her daughter, and it heads off. But when she comes in, Astrid then finds out that this young lad is. He tells her he's actually a ghost. So. And I suppose there's little nods to that the whole time, like when she comes in and she's able to go up to his room and all this kind of stuff. The first time you don't see
the parents' faces.
You see his parent. Yeah, you don't see the parents' faces. He just kind of says to them, and she looks and she goes up. So she doesn't realize at this point she's seeing ghosts. But we know that it was around this age that Lydia had started to see ghosts. And I guess it was his nods. You would have seen that she crashed through the fence, and he says something like, oh, don't worry, my parents won't even notice, and he's making comments about stuff that maybe would have been relevant when he was younger. Like he talks about Richie Cunningham, mom thinks he'll look like Richie Cunningham,
Yeah.
and Astrid is looking like, what the fuck are you talking about? And all of this starts to
Yeah.
make sense then, um, so yeah, it turns out he's a ghost. What he says, what happened to him is he'd fallen out of the tree, and he'd chosen it on the neck. He'd bruised his neck. I think that's what he said. Was
He
it, or
broke his neck. Yeah, yeah.
is that how he says that he
Said he
broke it?
hurt his neck or something. Yeah. I think
Yeah, I can't.
later on they
Yeah,
say that he fell and it broke his neck.
yeah. But he says, yeah, he'd ended up hurt. He had broken, so he asked his help. He said he had it was an accident basically, and he'd broken his neck, and he asked for her help. He's like, this whole thing, this book to the afterlife, is supposed to help you. Like, he says there is a way, but I'd need your help. You have to come with me into this afterlife place, and we can perform some ritual and ask him, and I'll be able to come back into life, and we can be together. So in the meantime, we get flashback to Lydia. She finds out that he's a killer because someone else, she's talking to like a real estate agent, and she mentions the house and the number of the house, and she finds out that he actually had killed his parents, and he only died while was it taken down by the cops or something, and he falls out of the tree and breaks his neck.
Fell.
Yeah.
But when we see the parents, is like, again, that's fucking brilliant. Like, they turn around and it's just like fucking home appliances stuck in their fucking eyes and stuff, and it's just like, it's another one of those moments where you have just kind of swells in quality, where you're just like, practical effects when they do, it's just the reveal of the parents, just like, that's fucking brilliant.
I think the ma has a knife like straight through her head.
Yeah. And he has a blender or something in his fucking fantastic.
I wasn't sure what that was in his head. I thought it was like the blade off a lawnmower or something. I couldn't tell exactly what it was. Like, but yeah, obviously, if you rewatch it again, and I imagine you'll see all these little nods to it. But yeah, anyway, Lydia fucking rushes over to get there. But at this stage, they've used a bit of chalk and said the incantation, and they've opened the wall to the underworld. And so she gets there too late. The door closes behind her. And this is we're getting towards the part of them all moving to have the scene in the afterlife, because Catherine O'Hara is having this she's off by the grave, and she's brought these two asps, which apparently are defanged and depoisoned, and she's having a ritual at the funeral, at the husband's funeral, and while she's there, she ends up getting bitten by these snakes, and she's brown bread, and Lydia ends up summoning Beetlejuice back because she realizes the only way she can get to the afterlife is to get his help. And so she summons him, and he says, yeah, no worries, but, you'll have to marry me like you missed out on doing on the first moon. And she agrees to it. And when she gets down there, he finds out that what your man had done was he's bringing Astrid down there so he could trade her soul for his. They'll take her and he'll get to come back up. And it's cool, it's a cool idea, I guess, that to have this down, but I didn't like the how quickly this was, that they all just ended up down there. Catherine O'Hara dies, ends up down there just at the same time that Lydia had summoned Beetlejuice. Like, I get it makes sense that Lydia would summon him to try and get back in after her, but it was just a way to get Catherine O'Hara down there at the same time as them.
Yeah, it's all very convenient. And when they're kind of going, we're kind of running out of time here, so we need to get everyone down there and propel the story on a little bit. It's just kind of, even that guy, like the dead boy, it's just so underdeveloped. She meets him, they have like one scene together, maybe two scenes together, and then it's, introducing the book and this thing, and I'm a ghost, and it's just, it all happens too quickly, and how it's resolved later on, it's just like, what the fuck is, like, it's 1 hour 40 minutes, and you've spent a lot of it's bloated in the kind of setup, and then they're kind of running out of time in the back end, so everything is just, we'll get to that, but everything, it kind of comes together and resolved very easily and very quickly, when more time should have been put into this kid and Jenna. Just keep that.
Yeah, I think so.
Monica Bellucci, then, if or vice versa. Like, pick one and fucking stick with it and give it a bit more time, because they have decent chemistry. He's okay, but I think it's, again, as I said earlier, it's Jenna who's she's just brilliant in this movie, I think, especially in all the scenes with him. It's just very believable
Yeah.
chemistry. She must be just a person who's very easy to get on with off and on screen. Like,
Well, I think, and it's very quick. Like you said, the scenes they get, like there's that first one when they sit in the tree and he has a lot of the same interests as her and they yap away. And then the next scene is them in his bedroom and she asks her, he says he's going to listen if you want to come over for Halloween. Why don't you come on over? And then, and that's cool. It's not a massive amount of time they spend together. And then the next time is when she agrees to go into the afterlife with him. He's a ghost the whole lot. It's like, fucking. Now, he does use the excuse by saying, you'll be able to see your dad while we're there, if you come down with me. But it's just, there wasn't enough time spent with the two of them to build up this relationship where she's besotted with him, and stuff. It was just, like you said, not enough time spent in the right places. But in order to get into the into the afterlife, I love this. Beetlejuice and Lydia are obviously in the attic, and he draws an old-fashioned style bomb with like a fuse on it, and lights the fuse, and that blows a hole in the wall. But the wall opens up in that call center part where he works, and when they arrive in there this is where the tiny head guys escape. But of course, they're escaping into our world, into the land of the living. And it's just gas, all these big, huge dogs.
Can't get enough of them. They should be in the movie more.
Yeah.
They should be in the movie
they're
more.
fucking brilliant. So Delia, of course, shows up now and she's dead because she can't believe it because she's fucking pissed off. She got in bitch. She's like, no, I shouldn't be here. But obviously she's gotten sold. The man who sold told her that the asps that she was being sold were defanged, was a liar. So after then she sees her dad. He's working on this fucking, whatchamacallit, this fucking, it's like almost like a train station, is it, to the afterlife? It's where people go. Yeah, it's where people go and get brought onto the next place that they're going to end up. And this is where there's a place called the Soul Train, which takes them to the afterlife. And he tells her here, oh, listen, I was just using you the whole time. They're going to take you off and I get to go back up into the real world and back into a body, and you're fucking shipped off down to the afterlife. Thanks for nothing. Thanks for everything. And it's just,
why would you tell her that? You don't just kind of go, okay, now you can go down there and you're going to meet your dad. It's tell her just before that these dancers in this train station, which is a cool fucking sequence when they're all dancing the Soul Train, like, oh yeah, let's go. I get the wink wink nod nod. But yeah, it's just kind of makes no sense.
Yeah. And there's not enough time for that. There's not enough time to build him up as the lovely guy to the bad guy, because he's, we see him as the nice guy in the first two scenes with them, which are quite short. And then we find out straight away from this random real estate agent that this guy is a killer. Guy. So cool. So then so all we've got is that we see her then convincing him to go to the underworld, and then almost straight away he tells her, I'm the bad guy. And it's just, so it's not built up. It's not fleshed out enough for me. But anyway, she's dragged onto the Soul Train, which is where the souls go, but also happens to be a big actual disco train. Actually looks like the best crack. Like, if I die and there's an afterlife, that's 100% where I want to go. It's a bunch of people fucking disco tunes, giving it socks on the train. I was like, that looks amazing. Sign me up. And so anyway, they end up escaping. She drags what's-her-face out, Lydia drags Astrid out, and they escape, and they go through this door, and they land on this fucking desert, which is on a moon surrounding one, Jupiter or some shit
Saturn,
like that. Yeah. And this is where the sand snakes arrive, and I loved it. Like, it's just, so it has good. They look so similar, like the way it moves, the whole lot, the tail kind of rattling. It looks so similar to the original. It's just brilliant.
It's like stop motion again. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Really, really great. And just before they're about to get caught, her dad reaches down and saves them. And it's mad. I was wondering, why does the dad allow himself to still be covered by fish? Like, he apparently has died when his plane crashed into the water. Body was never recovered, and so he's there and he's dead, and he's obviously rotting flesh, but he's just got these little fish piranhas or whatever all attached to him. It's like, if I'd been down here for years, I probably would have plucked them off by now. Like.
It's a cool visual kind of trick, but just like, is that little tiny fish still gnawing at your neck, not pissing you off? Like, fucking hell.
But yeah, so of course now Delia has fucking because she's freaking out because she's stuck in the afterworld. She does the same thing that Lydia does and calls out for Beetlejuice for help. And Beetlejuice comes back, she tells him the whole story, and Beetlejuice appears then, and which is great. I love that. Beetlejuice appears as the kind of teller or whatever it is at the train station to hell, and he presses a button and sends your man Dickbag. He's like, where do I go to get sent back up to the real world? And he just fucking pulls a handle, and the ground opens up, and Dickbag gets pulled down into the fucking fiery depths. Yes, good enough.
Yeah. Take that, motherfucker.
Yeah. So Richard is the dad, and the dad says, like, I've got a way of helping you get back to the real world. So he helps them back, gets his ladder down that brings them up, and they're back into the land of the living, and like they come out like a mausoleum or something, I think. And they're back, and they go in, and she's supposed to go to her wedding with Justin Theroux, which he arrives up. Beetlejuice is there, and when he arrives, he injects Justin Theroux with this fruit serum.
Oh, that seems so good.
And it's great, yeah, Justin Theroux, because then he was asked to tell the truth, and he tells Lydia that he never believed in any of her stuff, that he just wanted to use her to make money, that he went to the retreat where they had met, hoping to meet somebody like that who he could be a leech off. And so the and the wedding guest is great because he's contacted all the wedding guests. They're all just paparazzi. They're all influencers, and they're all recording the thing on their phone. And when Beetlejuice turns around, and he just makes them all, the wedding guests, turn their phone towards their own faces and then get sucked into their own phones. And it's fucking brilliant. Like, obviously, this is very much CGI, and it's just fucking, it's really, really well done. So they're just kind of left with the wedding party of our main actors. And this is where the singing and dancing number comes in. And again, like, it's fun because you see, it's a tune. Beetlejuice is doing the main tune to it. It's not a tune I know, and it's not an upbeat, fun tune like from the first one, like Deo, or like the Harry Belafonte song towards the end of Beetlejuice 1. It's kind of more ballady kind of stuff, when they're in the church and he's floating around. He has the rest of them are kind of dancing and singing along to it, like miming along to it, and it doesn't hit at all the same way it does in the first one.
It fell completely flat for me. Excuse me.
Yeah.
I think it worked for maybe about 30 seconds where it kind of, it's good. Beetlejuice singing away, and the look of somebody inadvertently against their will singing a song is fun. But it's been done better, and no one really tried it after the first Beetlejuice in over fucking 3.5 decades.
I think the Mask had a good one when he makes all the people sing. All the cops start doing it, and that's a song. That's another one of these things done well. And as you said, it's that someone singing, and they've a confused look on their faces. Why am I singing this fucking song? I can't stop.
But it's more when in the situation that they're with the Mask and the cops, because it's fucking cops doing it. It's hilarious. And the first one, it's a dinner sequence, and here it's just people who've been through this before kind of singing. But it goes on for fucking 5 minutes. It's just like, are you playing the whole fucking song here? Like, Jesus Christ. It's just, that's kind of, it's tone deaf in that regard from the director's point of view. You're just like, this is, obviously you think it's working. But yeah, maybe it wouldn't have been such an issue if it's, maybe 30 seconds or a minute. But to play the whole thing, that was one of the moments where I was kind of checking out, whereas, checking the watch, literally just going, how long is left in this? Because they're just wasting time here. You've only got fucking 10 minutes left to sort out this whole fucking movie. Yeah, just didn't really like this at all.
And this is, and it's the next part, like this, during this part or after the song part, this is very fits in very well with the fact that they rarely gave Willem Dafoe and Monica Bellucci any screen time. Is that they arrive now. Willem Dafoe turns up with all his afterlife cops. They look like the highway patrol guys, and they all show up, and Dolores kind of shows up as well, and it's all done so soon. Like Willem Dafoe gets frozen, and Dolores is there and stuff. But like it's so quickly. They're having their big argument and everything about what's going on. They're only there, and as quickly as that, they're gone. Because Lydia ends up fucking or summoning up one of the sand snakes by using the Astrid and Lydia use the Book of the Dead. They summon the Sand Snake, and that comes up and ends up
Yeah.
killing Dolores.
Astrid picks up that book and within about 20 seconds has deciphered the next stage or how to take all this
Yeah,
back or someone to fucking... It's just one of those. It's just... everything is so quick, and I just would have liked these people on screen a bit more in several more scenes, because maybe they didn't have some of the actors for a lot of time or something. But yeah, it's just... yeah,
it's a shame.
it's over too quick, that scene.
Yeah, like she shows up into the church and think, okay, this is going to be a big, huge thing. There's just not enough of a scene there. She's gone almost as quickly as she turns up. Criminally underused. But anyway, they say Beetlejuice 3 times, and Beetlejuice is fucking zapped back down to the afterlife, because they find out that the contract is null and void. Why was the contract null and void again?
Fucking can't remember.
Fuck. I can't remember. Fuck. Okay. Anyway, not important. They find the contract that he was supposed to sign to marry her is null and void, and so he's fucking sat back down. She doesn't have to marry him. But Delia does have to go back to the afterlife. Like, she has escaped back up into the real world, but she is dead and she has to go back. And so she ends up going back, and she meets her husband, who is, you see him multiple times throughout the movie. He was bitten in half by a shark, so it's just this body with blood sticking up out of him. So she meets him, and they go onto the Soul Train, and away they go. And then we're kind of cut into the future, and we see that Lydia has quit her job, and Astrid is after getting married, and she's given birth, and with the birth baby that pops out is that baby Beetlejuice. Our
little friend again.
Yeah, and he's up climbing the walls and stuff, and then Lydia wakes up and realizes that it was a nightmare, and it's like a double nightmare. She wakes up and has a nightmare, and then Beetlejuice is beside her, and then she wakes up again.
On that birth thing, like a completely almost side note, somebody's giving birth in this big room, and there's a big giant fucking window there. Like, is that a thing in America where people just look in at people having birth? Is that
and it's not as if they have her body facing side on from the window. Anybody looking in there is looking straight down Main Street, like they're looking fucking, it's like, why have you got this gigantic window? But again,
so odd. Like, yeah,
I think it was, but again, it's a dream sequence, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I assume that's why it is. Like, I mean,
hopefully, yeah. Let's look into that, because that's just.
I think it's just
that. Okay.
I assume the baby had already been. I think this is just a nightmare that she had.
Yeah,
because why would you be out there looking at a giant window, looking in at someone giving birth in the big room? It's obviously a nightmare. Yeah, and that's kind of it. That's the end of it. Like, it's. I feel I've rushed through it, but it's only because the main scenes that are really, really enjoyable are the ones that we've actually spent time talking about. The storyline just isn't really there, which is a bummer, because you've kind of got. I felt in the first one they really spent time. You've got the family and their guests, at the house. You've got the people who lived there before, Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin, and then you've got Lydia and her interaction with them and Beetlejuice. And that's kind of, and it's balanced really well because of how well they all interact. Pretty much everything happens either in that house, or it happens like inside the house in the attic kind of thing, or in the house, or in the afterlife, and that's it. Whereas they try to introduce extra stuff here. They've got her off having her own TV show, and they've got Astrid off meeting this kid and stuff. And I think that it pulls away a lot of that really contained stuff that we had in the first movie, for the worse. I think they're worse off for it.
Yeah, 100%. It's just, it's the sum of its parts were just really great at times, like really, really great. I laughed out loud a few times. There's like just at sometimes silly things, sometimes grotesque things, but then there's one bit where Winona Ryder, so like she's working on her voice for TV or something, she makes a noise, she's like,
the breathing.
Yeah, the mother's like, I thought a moose was going to attack me. Catherine O'Hara says, fucking like laughed out louder than I have in a long time in cinema. Things like that, you just go, this is fucking brilliant. Like, it's some of the peaks are really, really, really high, and the quality is excellent, but it's everything in between. It's, as I said at the start, it feels like it was, you can see the tumultuous kind of development process of the script. It's glaringly like on view, like it's just messy. There's so many. It's like so many ideas from so many different probably writers down through the years have all been forcibly pushed into this, probably from some executive up on high, just like keep that bit, we like that bit, that bit, and it's just trying to stitch it together. And it works, but it's not. It's just messy. It's all over the place.
Yeah, and it's working because of incredible performances. Like you said, like the Catherine O'Hara part, there's one part where she's screaming, and they hear her from upstairs screaming, like, "Oh my god, what's wrong?" And they run down, and it's her basically on front of the camera practicing letting out primal screams, kind of stuff. Like, and it's just, and she's straight back to stone faces, and she's she's absolutely amazing. And like you said, a lot of the comedy comes from her. And her one-liners and the relationship between them. There's great chemistry between all the cast. Not just obviously Jen is fantastic, as we said, but there's just great chemistry at the way that fucking Delia just doesn't like Justin Theroux as well. Their interactions are great. It's just it's great. How can you not love Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice? He's one of the best characters ever made. I loved his performance. He's having a blast. He said himself he had more fun making this one than he did making the first one, so it's great to know that
100%.
Yeah, apparently you're saying he didn't even rehearse, kind of thing. You just kind of went straight into the takes, like just straight into like, fuck this, I'm not rehearsing. I know my lines. I'm just gonna have a bit of fun with the character, and he has a blast, and like that's the stuff that's really there to love about it. But it just doesn't have, the story just isn't there, which is a pity.
After 36 years, that it can feel that it's like they just made that movie a few years ago. They all just roll with it, and it just bring their A game straight from the start. I thought that was fantastic, and the makeup on Michael Keaton, you wouldn't be able to tell that he's fucking 40 years older. But
definitely. I'd recommend it. As I said, it's a 3-star movie, but definitely one that I'd recommend just for fun and all the rest of it. But it's just it's not, if you're hoping to go in hoping to get an improvement or even something to match the original, you're not going to get that. Like it's not as good as the original by a decent shot.
As legacy sequels go, it's pretty decent.
It's not. It's decent. It's 100% not in the realm of some of the other shit that we've seen. Like it's decent, but it's a pity. And I think, as you said, Dad, maybe it is a case of too many cooks over too many years. Yeah.
But defo, catch it on the couch when it comes to streaming. So on that note, then, that is an end to this week's episode. Thanks everyone for listening and sharing and liking on YouTube and Spotify and Apple and everything in between. And we will be back with another banger of a movie, hopefully, next week.